There's a theology that I'm not a fan of that seems to have taken much of the world really out of the awareness of second chakra, which is the awareness of family, community, tribal, caring, in that kind of context, and moved a lot of humanity in their concerns and their ways of doing things down to the root chakra, which is more the lizard brain, all about survival and you know individual survival at the cost of whatever, at the cost of others, at the cost of every other thing that happens at the higher chakras. So this theology is really pervasive. Um, it's coming out of American culture, and it's pervaded the world pretty much. And it's not limited to the Christian section of America or the sort of more alternative, not so Christian, New Agey kind of circles of America. Same theology, different forms slightly. The way it goes is like this: that on the Christian end, it's if you pray, if you love God, if you do what the priest says, and that kind of stuff, if you're a good person in terms of the Christian model of it, well, good things happen to you. You will do well financially. You will be happy in love. You will have good fortune, good luck. And the other side of this, of course, is that if someone is not happy, if someone is down on their luck, if someone is financially not doing well, well, the second chakra urge to help them gets kind of cancelled by this theology, because after all, they're only in that situation because they are, after all, bad. It's their sinfulness that means they are, not financially well off, or their wife left them, or their children do, nasty drugs, or things like that. On the New Age, more hippie end of things, it's the theology expressed in movies like The Secret. Quick review of The Secret if you're thinking of seeing it. Awful, awful, awful physics, worse mysticism. That's my snap review. But that movie and the spirit that informs it, and the common spirit across the New Age and alternative teachers of America, is very much in line with the same theology. It's slightly differently expressed. It's if you do all your affirmations and you live with good intentions and you do things in the proper recommended New Age spiritual way, then you'll be financially well off, and much the same as the Christian one, things will go well for you. And if someone is not doing well and so on, having an unhappy love affair, their barn burns down, you don't go help them rebuild that barn, because after all, it's their lack of spiritual goodness and their lack of attention to their affirmations and so on that's brought this upon them. So in both cases, there's even a fear, there is a fear of kind of infection from, if I help the person who's now just, lost his business, help him out a bit. In the Christian context, it means I'm helping a sinner. I'm doing a bad thing. I'm probably going to lose my business. In the New Agey hippie circle thing, it means I'm supporting someone who's got negative intentions and a negative way in the world. And that negativity could transfer to me, and I would be in just as much trouble as him. And in this way, this theology has removed really a familial caring. We now have a world where a brother doesn't lend money to a brother that's in need, for example. Everybody goes to the bank. Damn, children don't even go to college on the basis of their parents have saved up and supported them in that way. Children go to college on the basis of they take a bank loan. And there are interesting consequences that follow from this kind of regression of humanity to the root chakra. It basically means everything happens on the basis of a survival situation. America's currently building an empire to protect its survival. It's we've managed to get a world that's really paranoid and really concerned about the survival threat of every little thing, because theologically we've kind of removed the positive end, the end of caring, the end of cooperation, the end of tribal bonding, the end of family cohesiveness and family mutual support. Gone. Interesting phenomenon in the world. I don't like it, and I don't recommend it as an approach. And maybe one of the things that I want seekers to notice is, okay, so this may be used, this may be the current system that the world uses to control the kind of those among humanity who automatically kind of do what they're told, the 90% of humanity that don't really individuate, don't have some alternative, some way of considering their own wisdom, their own realizations, their own learning as being worth following, that authority is the only thing worth following, that 90% of humanity. And for seekers, I recommend we can discard this theology. Sure, it's ugly. It's ugly for those of the culture who follow things reflexively as well, what to do. But no need to get too hooked up in it. And maybe one thing to notice is that there's no real difference between the mainstream Christian, Baptist, etc. View and the mainstream New Age, Carolyn Myss, the Zukov kind of Tolle kind of view, and the various teachings and ideas that come from that. That this arising is not those teachers saying don't care for people, but their teaching has been taken up in this way. And so you as a seeker, watch out for it a bit. Watch out for it a bit. Don't fall for that one. It may be tempting to you, this theology that affirmations and good intentions and things bring good things, and bad intentions and such like obsessing on the dark brings bad things. And if you're having any trouble with the logic of that, or you find that digs a bit into your belief systems and infects you, well, just here's an alternative to consider. What physicists suggest to us, what religion, mystics since forever have suggested to us, is the least reliable bit, the wobbly bit of our experience as humanity, as beings, is this thing called time. And now, if time is a little wobbly, then I think it's less of a great assumption to say that we may have glimpses of future occasionally, little limited, little tiny glimpses of future. And to me, it's more logical to say we may have that than we are so awesomely individually powerful that our intentions overrule the intentions of all those around us and the entire planet as a whole and whatever levels of divine there are, and we create our world out of things like obsessing on a number we write on the ceiling that we want to see in our bank account and that kind of thing. We create these things, we make them happen. And that we're so bloody powerful that when we've got some urge in the positive to something, we make it happen. And it's our brilliantness that does it. And it's our terribleness that when we've got a dread or a fear of something that happens, it's our power again in play. Maybe. But just for your consideration, allow the alternative that maybe time is the wobbly thing. And if time is the wobbly thing, then this is all very easily explained, this phenomenon of obsessing on a thing and coming to it. Because if you have a glimpse of something in the future, a little momentary glimpse, like one fellow I know had a little glimpse, a dream one day of beautiful walnut dashboard, beautiful steering wheel, and beautiful driving gloves, and clearly he's driving a Rolls Royce. And after, 30 years of investing in wild schemes and chasing everything every which way, on the basic assumption that this vision meant that he was going to be rich, and all his intentions rolling in terms of that, and his massive love of Rolls-Royce and so on, one day he looked and he saw, wow, hands on the steering wheel, beautiful gloves, awesome, beautiful steering wheel, beautiful dashboard, lovely walnut finish. It's a Rolls-Royce, and he was the chauffeur. The glimpse was fulfilled. And look at the other possibility. You have a glimpse of something happening in life that's scary for you, not nice, loved one dying, crashing a car, whatever, losing a valued possession, something like that. This glimpse occurs. And then having that little notion in the mind, this looks like a negative obsession. This looks like something that's going to come around and worry you and, be in your awareness every now and again quite intensely. And, of course, being a future glimpse, well, it eventually happens. And my suggestion, of course, is appreciate these glimpses you get. Try and discern the difference maybe between a dread or fear that you're conjuring up for yourself, or one that maybe it is something you're heading to. And there's a usefulness to this thing of having them up for your consideration before they happen. The usefulness lies in getting used to it. Not so much on the positive end, if you've got awesome positive visions of something delicious you want, and you obsess on it and obsess on it, and expand that glimpse you've had, that vision you've had, out into a kind of a lifestyle and a regular routine of affirmations and so on. Then by the time you get to that thing, it's likely to have lost much of its taste, much of its juiciness, much of the enjoyment you might have had out of it has already been had. You've had it kind of on credit ahead of the time. And the same applies to that we get a glimpse of something fearful in the future, and that it rolls around in our brain and scares us and forces us to consider our responses to it and what, how we will be in this. And fortunately, too, by the time it happens, sometimes we're ready for it. Sometimes it's not such a violent shock. But I suggest this. I suggest for your consideration, not that I'm saying it's true that there's the future glimpse scenario, or true that your intentionality creates your universe. I'm suggesting there's a bit of truth to both of those ideas. There's something in them, but they're paradigms, they're models of how the world works. Therefore, they can never truly be the way the world works, but they're interesting models to consider. They may occasionally be of help and of guidance, but don't let this new theology of uncaring get deep into your life, please. Push against it a bit when you see it, if you can. That's my thought for the day. Thanks for listening.